Hello and welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast. I'm Oscar Brummel, and today my guest is Jim Haras of the label Fusty, the products DETERGE and LAUREATE, as well as many, many others. If you're listening to or watching White Centipede Noise Podcast, please support it now at patreon.com/White Centipede Noise. Patreon support is essential for keeping this show going, and there are a lot of additional benefits for you for doing so. So head over to patreon.com/White Centipede Noise now to support noise. Jim Haras, welcome to White Centipede Noise Podcast.
How you doing?
Thank you so much for meeting with me and getting into what you do with me. For those who don't know, this is Jim Haras of DETERGE and the voracious noise label Fusty Cunt. And
LAUREATE.
LAUREATE, exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about LAUREATE as well. That's on the list to talk about, but that's good that you bring that right to the forefront. Cool. So, I think let's start with your label first.
Sure.
What led you to the formation of your label in the first place?
I started it because along with like PTM, which we'll probably get into that too. They kind of started at roughly the same time, and I was about 13, and it was probably the year 2000 because I was in 8th grade.
You were 13?
Yeah, I was like 13.
When you started Fusty?
Yeah, it technically started when I started because it was, it didn't really exist, but it technically existed.
Okay.
Probably 2006 is when I actually started doing anything with it, but I dubbed my own tapes, and so I guess if you would call it like, if you did it by catalog numbers, it would be like Fusty negative stuff. Yeah. If you go backward, because it's like, stuff that's like 5 copies. It almost doesn't exist. Wow. Like I don't have copies of certain things. It's just they're gone. But I started it, and it was mostly noisecore. It was because I actually like badly played instruments. And I used to record onto an old karaoke machine. So you would do like you would record the drums, and then you'd like overdub it, like the guitar, and then overdub that with like vocal. It sounded awful. Great.
How do you overdub on a karaoke machine?
So it was a literal karaoke machine, and it had 2 decks, and you could. So you could record one tape, whatever you wanted to record, and then you could like play that one into the other deck, and it would record it, but you just turn it down a little bit so that, or turn the other deck up a little, and you could layer it. It was basically a 2-track, cool. Rather than a 4-track, I guess. I don't even have it anymore, but I kind of wish I did, because I almost wish I could go back and mess with it,
for sure,
create really bad recordings, but it was cool. You could actually do it. I mean, or you could just get a room mic and record everything at once.
Yeah.
But, Yeah, I kind of started it, and for the record, I absolutely hate the name now. I think it's stupid.
Oh, you're the label name?
Fusty cunt. Yep. I think
Yeah.
it's stupid. I mostly just say fusty now, and
Yeah.
it's not because like, oh, the word cunt is it, but it's just it's easier to just say one word. And it's just also it's a pretty outrageous word in the scheme of words. Like it's whatever, but you kind of say it, and people are like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna tell my people at my work that that's my label name.
Right.
But it's
Well, the combination with fusty is, I mean, fusty is an obscure word that you don't really, I mean, it's an
right.
obscure word, but it's very disgusting when
It
you put
means
those
yeah, it
together.
means like extremely dirty,
Yeah.
kinda. Yeah, it's dirty, musty,
Yeah.
gross. So I mean,
Old.
a fusty cunt is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, I was a big anal cunt fan.
Yeah. Available now on Virtues, Kate Rissek, Decayed Signals LP. Kate Rissek has been cultivating her sound with strict focus, making her project Rusalka a veritable household name. For her new LP on Virtues entitled Decayed Signals, she sheds the Rusalka moniker, starting fresh, yet sacrificing none of the project's intensity and strength. Also available, John Miller, The Future is Unlimited Always, Digibook CD, Mott, Fickle CD. Releases from Corporate Park, Doll, Swollen Organs, Fog of Joy, Climax Denial, and more. This and other quality post-industrial music can be discovered at virtueslabel.com. What were you doing with noisecore at 13?
Just basically, like when I was real young, I liked new metal and stuff like that, and I still at I think 13, I still listen to like Slipknot and stuff like that, Korn, whatever. But I got into Relapse, some stuff. I started getting into it, like Mortician, and at that point, I think maybe Nile also, like just some of the like, and obviously Cannibal Corpse and stuff like that. And I I don't know why I think it was noisecore because like I was just not really a great musician. And it was just it was almost just fun. Like we'd play like local shows. So I had an old band called Jimmy's Band, and it was I would play guitar and do vocals, but we would also have like whoever was playing that day was also in the band. So we'd have a bunch of guitars going, a few drums. You just set up all the drums, and it was just it was chaos. And it was violence.
Yeah.
I was into this. I was a little bit old. But I mean, it was still in high school. So
Yeah.
I was young high school when I started doing more shows. And yeah, it mostly came out of like you listen to stuff. It's like I want to play fast. I want to play just really heavy stuff, and it's just chaos. It was chaos. And that, noisecore and stuff led me to noise, and I made it before I really listened to it, but like Gorbry Necropsy, Noise a Go Go on Relapse is it's amazing. It's I heard that and I was like, what? This is insane. And then you hear Rectal Anarchy with Merzbow,
Right.
and you can just start taking it from there. So Relapse is very important to my beginnings, as is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But because it had that that metal and then noise connection.
Yeah. Cool.
So
So you started releasing
yeah, releasing
as Fusty Cunt when you were around 13.
13 or 14, yeah.
Were you only
It's
releasing your own stuff?
it was all my own stuff. It was
Okay.
nothing else. So that's why it's like that's why I say it technically exists, but it doesn't.
Okay. And then so then going forward, how did you land at Fusty Cunt where it is? Well, not now, but in the beginning, like when you started publishing it kind of more publicly and working with other artists and stuff like that?
I started getting in contact with just random people. One of the first guys, I think it was Carl Kruger, and he did Baby Daddy. I believe it's Kruger. I can't remember at this point. And that was one of the first things I released that wasn't mine. So the first couple things are the Baby Daddy. I did something for Vilk. It was a Niodine D.
Yep.
And then I actually got in touch with Dan Williams. He does. Oh my God! Now I'm sorry, Dan. It's blank. He used to do. The first thing he did was Poached Goat.
Okay.
And we did a split. And he actually was from the next town over, but we're both small town people because like Chicago area, but definitely not Chicago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just from the I actually don't know how I started getting in touch with people. Like the internet, I guess, just whatever. Maybe it was the Tronics Chondritic Forum, maybe, but it was before that, I think.
Well, I know that this is after that, but I mean, I remember meeting you probably around 2008, 2009 maybe, and
right.
You were oftentimes, like, I think probably the first time I met you was in Milwaukee.
That's probably right.
But you were often, and I don't know if we like talked, but you were often driving from very far to go to different shows, and then eventually, like, you'd start coming to Minneapolis and stuff like that. And like, so what was that time all about? Because you were like really fucking hardcore, like driving, and then you'd like drive home that same night, oftentimes.
Oh yeah, I still do. Not like the Texans. The Texans are really insane, but yeah, I mean, I lived with traffic. It was always over an hour just to Chicago. And then Milwaukee actually was roughly the same because there was almost never traffic to Milwaukee.
Okay.
So it was a little bit farther distance wise, but time wise.
Yeah.
So it was like, hour and a half, give or take.
Yeah.
And it was just, randomly good shows that I don't even know how I would find out about them. One really early one I remember in Chicago was Alza Galzaga Yellow Tears. That was a really good one. But even then, that was 08, 09.
Yeah.
So it was before then, and yeah, I don't mind driving really. I just don't.
Would you connect with people always at those shows? Like, would you go to shows and like talk to people and like make those connections?
When I would do that for, like, let's say I would go up to Milwaukee, and this is actually before I like knew Ingman, and I would go like see Phetopsy. I would, if I didn't go alone, I would go with there was one friend that I had in high school that was just, way into he and I, all we would do was, we were in bands, we would just make random stuff. He doesn't do anything, like he never releases anything, but he's one of the best like techno producers I've ever heard. Wow. But he'll never release anything, doesn't care, doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody. Yeah. Just like a true misanthrope.
Yeah.
But he and I would, we would go up there and we wouldn't talk to anyone. And I went to school in Madison for a year, and there's a record store, and it was Earwax. Mm-hmm. And I believe Dominic actually, he knows all about that, and that's kind of where he got his start with mm-hmm. Hospital and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I got in touch with him with Rob at Earwax. And through him, I kind of started talking to a little bit more people. He put out an early black metal thing I did when I was like 18 or something like that. But I think it wasn't until like I started with Noise that I started talking to people more. So when it was music like death metal, grindcore and stuff like that, I didn't really talk to anyone, just because whatever. But
Yeah.
the noise, I think it was smaller things, and it's just like, well, I guess I'll talk to this like one of the 7 people here.
Yeah.
So it kind of was just natural
Yeah.
between Milwaukee and Chicago. There
Yeah.
was when like Mac, Adam, and I and stuff like that, when we kind of went, we all were in at like a little bit of different times, but when we had started, we were no one gave a shit about anything, and
Yeah.
we built it from nothing.
Yeah.
And for a while, Chicago was the place to play in the
Yeah.
United States for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just you end up talking to the one of 7 people or something like that, and you just become the friend because there's no one else.
Definitely.
Not that it's bad, but it's just like that's who you talk to, and then that guy then knows someone else maybe from Boston or something like that, and oh hey, I got in touch with Egan Budd,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah. Exactly. And you made a pretty good friendship with John Engman, right?
Mm-hmm.
From
Oh yeah.
Custodian.
Yeah, he's one that so a lot of times when I even talk to people, I'll often talk about noise and stuff like that. That's my main thing in common with most people. Ingman, we'll talk. I was talking to him earlier today.
Yeah.
We did start. So we decided to scrap Yurth because the name, no one said it right anyway, and it was, I guess it's like a big like Earth spelled URTH is like it's like a fantasy role play like
Uh-huh.
realm that exists.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's like 10 bands named Earth,
Okay.
but we were Yurth because it's urethra. But yeah, I talked to John a bunch. We started a new thing that's not noise. It's gonna be like industrialized grindcore, gore grind. I think we don't know yet. We don't know what it's gonna be, but
Cool. Awesome.
yeah. So he's one that I actually just we talk about our dog,
Yeah.
our dogs and stuff like that, and just random stuff. He's a friend.
Out now on Absurd Exposition, Zenta Sustained, Serpent Track Patterns 12-inch. New 2022 material from the Cult Collaborative project between Ryan Bloomer and Sam McKinley. Forthcoming Absurd Exposition CDs from Dodge Jones Rage, Neural, Fold, and Rusalka, with many more releases planned for 2023 and beyond. Plus, over 2,000 items currently in stock at Scream and Ride Distro, a Montreal-based source for experimental electronics, harsh noise, etc., offering affordable shipping worldwide. Visit screamandride.com for ultimate noise power. So you kind of have this noisecore, grindcore, black metal background. What was that switch that turned you on to like pure electronic noise in that way? And that, I assume that's kind of where your heart lies
Yeah,
now.
it is very much that now. I think it was a natural progression of kind of just what else is there. You listen to something. You listen to Napalm Death, right? Napalm Death, I would consider mainstream grindcore, right?
Yeah.
Like normal people might know Napalm Death. Then you start going into like, oh, I'll listen to, I don't know, I can't even think. It's Sore Throat. Sure, you start going down there, and then it's like, oh, well, now I like gore grind more because it's faster, it's more insane, it's more noisy, or it can be anyway, and you just kind of start getting into that, and it just progresses into that's what you end up listening to. So like I would make electronic noise because I would just just use anything you could. Like when I found out what a contact mic was, it was just that changed my life.
Yeah.
But just throwing stuff around, breaking glass, doing stuff like that. It was more like the organic noise than the electronic noise,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. Which I still think is a lot cooler. No matter what, it's always going to be cooler.
Yeah.
Electronic noise is, you can make it sound cool, but nothing beats the sound of real things doing real things.
Yeah.
but I would just make it on my own, and then I kind of was like, oh, like, like Burzbo exists, Missona exists. You go down that rabbit hole from there of like what else is there, and it becomes natural, and then you're hooked, you're
Yeah.
addicted. Some people like alcohol, I like noise.
Yeah, exactly. What is it about noise that you love so much?
It just feels right. I don't know. I've searched for. I stopped asking myself that question probably a decade ago, and it's just it's because noise is much more than the sound to me, much more. That's why I only care about physical media, even if it's a J card, a 4x4 J card that's black and white. It's that there's a reason for that. There's more reason in noise than there is, say, a death metal album that has maybe a cool cover or something like that. The cover you could get a digital copy of, and you're like, okay, that's it is what it is. But there isn't really any other genre where you can have something that's packaged in a skull, or packaged with like broken glass, packaged with wrapped in chicken wire, all the tropes, but they're meaningful. And even at this point, it's like, yeah, you can package something in chicken wire, and so many people have done it, but it doesn't matter. It's the nostalgia, and it's the homage to what that's what noise is. Noise is 50-50. It is presentation and it is sound. And it can go either way. Some can totally sound like garbage, it can sound like nothing. But if its package is just awesome, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what it sounds, because you can just, it's a sculpture at that point. And it's still noise. And even sometimes the package can make noise.
Yeah.
It's important, and it should never ever go away. Once the art of it, and I hate to call it art, but it is. Once that goes away, it doesn't matter. And that's the other reason why we can delve into this more. Noise is not music. It's not music. You can listen to it like music, but it is still not music, and I don't think it ever will be. Nor should it be.
Why not? Why isn't noise music?
Because it doesn't need to be. Music has that rhythm. It has everything you should enjoy about, and it can be anything. It can be country, it can be rap, it can be rock, it can be pop, it can be to me that's all the same thing. It's just doing it a different way. Noise is about like an attitude, so like I say, you can listen to it like it is music, but that's not the point of it. I think some people can make it that point. They can. It's how you do it, and if once it becomes more musical, it ceases to be noise.
Well, so the examples you gave of musical genres are all like kind of related to like pop.
Yeah, well,
but there's
we're going to go into like classical stuff then.
But yeah, if we're talking about classical music or music from other cultures or religious music from other cultures or tribal music, there's a lot of music that sounds very, very far removed from
Western stuff
with a beat that's a 4-minute song or whatever,
Right. Different time signatures, different things like that. Yeah. Yes, I agree. And like then you could go into like Cage, where Cage said everything is music.
Right.
I think it's a disservice to call it music. because I think it is more than that. Because I think because it's more than the sound. I think that maybe is what sets it apart. Is noise, when it's just the sound, is arguably music, but then is it arguably noise anymore? I think noise has to have that extra backing of presentation. Whether, like I said, whether it be some elaborate package or whether it's just a Xerox J card.
Yeah.
It's like that's the noise, and it's hard. It's very difficult.
Are there ideas behind noise that are inherent to it, or content, is there intent behind the noise that's inherent to it?
What do you mean?
I don't know, content or ideas or intent behind the sound and presentation that makes it noise. I mean, could something that maybe doesn't sound like noise be noise because of the content or the presentation or the intent?
Maybe, but I can't think of an example. I would actually say yes, but I can't think of an example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because I can't think of one right now. I'm sure I've heard it, but just can't think. I enjoy that. I like thinking that, because noise can be the train, going down the tracks. It can be your radiator making noise. Like that's, and if you, so that, I think that's the other thing, is it's, noise has unfortunately become genretized. Whereas if you take the definition of noise, baby crying, just me knocking, and I record that and put it to a tape, is that music? Well, some argue yes, but no, it's not. And so when you lost my train of thought a little bit, but
a non-noise. I mean, yeah. So you're talking about the idea of like, kind of when it becomes sound with intent reproduced. Does that? To me, that's when sound becomes music. Sort of, in a way. Is it like when
with
sound
an intent? So it verges closer to music. I would then say there's music, and then there's noise, and then there's noise which we kind of know, and it can straddle that line, where it's like some things are more. I think let's use Stefan as an example with Josted.
Yeah.
It is oftentimes, the sounds of like a boat crashing against a thing, or against a dock, and he might manipulate it and stuff like that. And I think it comes into the production, maybe. When you start producing it, it becomes more musical. Mm-hmm. If I were to just take shit, or let's just say so a field recording is a field recording music of just, outside the wind and the leaves and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, that's more noise than it is music, I would say. It's like an ambient noise. So I guess it is when you start processing things, it moves into musical territory. Okay. Not necessarily music, but it's musical. Mm-hmm. And then if someone is throwing around metal in a basement, recording it, maybe adding a little bit of distortion or something like that, and mixing or editing it so that it's whatever, it's still more noise. But even then, once you start editing stuff, it gets musical.
Yeah.
If you add rhythm, so like you can bang stuff in rhythm, might become more musical.
Yeah. Okay. So, but by that logic, so like take you said, banging stuff in the basement with some distortion is noise, and processing is more musical. Like, what about a TEF album? That's like super processed, edited, composed sound that it's all noise sounds, and it doesn't ever have a melody or a rhythm, but it's like it's put in a way that's very with very clear intent, and it's in a way that has a psychological effect and like an emotional effect, not like like crying or happy, but it's
Right,
like
right.
you feel the excitement. It's composed in a way that the human brain responds to.
Right.
Is that
And
not also music?
therein lies the ultimate argument and problem, with this, no matter what. That I think those who say it's never music, those who say it's it is music, that's there is no. I don't think there's an answer. There is no answer. It's an ongoing debate, and there's always going to be good examples for either side, and that is an example. I still think that it's noise. It's just, I don't know. It's just not music.
Yeah.
It's just not. And and going back to just even non-Western music, a lot of it is noisy, but it's not like I don't know. It's weird because you can instantly hear that and be, whether you like it or not, but you're like, that okay, that's music.
Yeah.
And I think a lay person who, let's say they never have heard noise before and never even heard Indian music, you could play both of them. They would hear Indian music, and I think they'd be like, "Oh wow, this is like crazy music."
Yeah.
And if you played TEF,
Yeah.
they'd be like, "What is this? This is insane noise."
Right.
I think that's where to us, because we are so invested in it, we're gonna overthink that. And I think maybe that's the answer is we know too much.
Yeah.
The answer lies in the person who has never heard it in their entire life.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's also like, the first time you hear, I don't know. I remember when I was kind of like in high school, you were, I think, involved in like extreme music for much longer than I was. So maybe you didn't have the same experience. But I remember like, kind of when Wolf Eyes was getting popular and stuff like that, there were all these people running around calling all this stuff noise, and everyone's like, "Oh, Can is the best noise band," or like, I don't know, popular band, but like local bands around here that were like these like, it was like a throbbing dance beat, but then it had some like I don't know, squirming electronics over it. And it was like that was noise, and for people that was, because it was like you hear it and you're like, if you're accustomed to clean, organized, music, structured music, it's like it's clearly at the first shot, it's like noise. Like, whoa, this is noise.
Good point. Because now I would then argue that Wolf Eyes is definitely not noise. It is definitely music.
Yeah.
And the something that I have been thinking about for myself for a while is I don't think I really make noise anymore. I think so going back to the TEF and stuff, maybe it is music. Once you start knowing what you're doing, it ceases to be noise. It's noisy, but it is no longer noise. DETERGE isn't quite power electronics, and but it's so structured now that I don't think I'm making noise. I'm making whatever I'm making,
Yeah.
but I don't think it is noise anymore. And so I think that's the thing is us, the people who listen to noise, mostly, maybe we're not really listening to noise anymore. Because we're looking for something that maybe sounds good. You don't want to listen to garbage, so... But it definitely exists. I wish I could go back and not know what the hell I'm doing at all. And I think then I used to make noise. I no longer make noise. You don't make noise. You're too good. Stefan doesn't make noise. He's too good. Dom can make music, but I think so maybe some people have the power to just make things that are like so not musical. The Rita, Richard Ramirez, I think they still make noise. I don't think that is musical at all. Black Leather Jesus is noisy, but there's some purpose, so maybe it isn't noise anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that get debated the most, like, whether or not you like Volmer, maybe Volmer makes noise. He's one of the few that is still making noise, whereas the rest of us are making music.
Yeah, damn, that's deep.
Because it's devoid of it's devoid of anything.
Yeah,
and whether or not it's good, that doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, and maybe by that definition, there's a lot of things that we maybe don't define as music, or that we consider music, or that we consider more musical, really are noise. I mean, really are much more chaotic, even though it might involve a guitar or even a band or even a melody or sound, but the way it's purpose and the way it's mangled and manipulated maybe is more noise according to this definition than someone crafting static to sound really great.
Right. It's like I said, it's an ongoing it's an ongoing struggle that I don't think we're ever going to have an answer. Some people don't.
That was deep what you said though a minute ago about like maybe us that listen to noise, we're not listening to noise anymore.
Right. Because we listen to so much of it.
And you're listening to it in a musical way, I think.
Right. And the way that it has progressed throughout the years, because people don't want to make or listen to the same thing over and over again. I sure as hell don't. What do? You kind of start adding musical elements because that's natural. It's natural to do. Music is very natural to want to listen to, and it's pleasing. It's really hard for me to record something, and I'm sure you're the same. If you don't like it, I'm sure you scrap it. Because you also think, well, no one else, I hate this. Most people are also going to hate this. It's going to do not well, or whatever. It might not look good on you. You think you're releasing a piece of shit, but maybe what you recorded then was actual noise. And what you're not striving for noise. It's hard.
You're striving for art.
You're striving for art or something. Yeah,
you're striving for music. I mean,
right.
I would agree with you then, but I would say that a lot of the noise that I listen to, at least, which is pure harsh noise, which has no musical elements to it, no melodic or rhythmic stuff, I consider it music. I listen to it in a musical way.
And I do too.
And whether or not the intent is to be heard that way, I think my brain looks for it to be musical, and my brain enjoys it on that level.
I think most brains, by default, they have to. It's the only way you're... I think you'd have to never have heard music before in your life to have that not. And even then, music might just be natural. Because what the hell is music? Like, why is music pleasing? Why is certain things good? Why does this structure of notes sound like shit, whereas this structure that's slightly different, even like dissonant chords and stuff like that, it's like it sounds wrong.
Yeah.
And it's because our brain is telling us that it is. And you have to I guess you have to get over it.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it a different way, you have to get over it.
But a lot of that is learned. I mean, a lot of that is learned. The reason
I think so.
is culturally, and the reason that we like the music that we like is because that's the reason. That's the
You grew
music
up
that
with it
we.
on the radio or
Yeah,
whatnot. Yeah.
and from a baby, like, and I think I wonder how that could be. I mean, of course, we see different musics and different culture in the world, but I mean, I wonder how far that could be changed in a person's brain psychology if they were just only introduced to very different things as music.
Yeah. I think, man, I want to get like a room of like music professors and stuff just to kind of see like just play them all kinds of different stuff and see, like just have them talk about it for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And maybe we're gonna still get the same conclusion.
I would rather have music scientists because I know music professors have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have studied, this kind of stuff for a long time, and they always have they have a lot of times a certain attitude towards this whole topic, and they think, I would be
Well,
more interested in the musical science, like like, I don't know, what do you call it? What kind of scientists, like neurologists and things like that.
yeah, I actually was my old major when I was a freshman in college. I was going for physics, and it was going to be like audio. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was very interested in audio physics, and let me write that down. That is actually the whole theme of the Laureate album, so we can talk of that later.
Yeah. Well, I have all these notes here to ask you about the label more. But
Yeah,
let's circle back to the label. So tell me about Laureate.
Laureate originally just started because I wanted to start making like minimal techno, and the whole theme originally was every track is named after a different Nobel Prize laureate
Mm-hmm.
from all the fields except peace. Um, and mostly the science fields, the medicine, physics, and chemistry. Um, and I had given it to Dom, and he liked it. I think I originally gave him 6 tracks, and 4 ended up on the first tape. Second tape, more of the same. It was more techno oriented, and then so getting to the album, the LP, it was originally started in 2011, and it was probably going to be DETERGE, but Dom actually, he's the one who said, let's do it as Laureate because Laureate was on Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, okay, I think it'll work because of exactly what it's about. And so what it is it's a concept album about a scientist over theorizing that sound is more important than light in the theory of relativity. And his reasoning is because in a black hole, light cannot escape it. However, it still produces sound. And before any scientists out there, I know that the black hole does not. It's the accretion disk. It's like right outside of it before it gets pulled. That actually makes the sound. But in this scientist world in Laureate, in this universe, it's the sound that is more important. And the name of it, Eurekaphilia, is getting so excited by your like theoretical towards the end of the album, so to say, he proves it. He's able to prove it, and it's so powerful. Like the eureka moment is a sexual gratification.
Mm-hmm.
And so hence you're under eurekaphilia.
That's not a real word though. You made
It's
that
not
up?
a real. No,
Okay.
it's not a real word.
Cool.
It's two words
It's a good word.
put together, two existing words to make up a word that doesn't exist.
Yeah, cool.
So the reason why that sounds a lot different than the tapes is because it was recorded over the course of 8 years or whatever it was, and it was originally going to be DETERGE, but it's just it has. That's probably my favorite thing I've ever recorded, because I don't really think too many things sound like it. In
Definitely not.
Like there's definitely like techno stuff, noisy techno. I mean, techno kind of started off really noisy. Like the '90s techno is, some of that stuff is so amazing. But I think it's introduced, like a lot of it's the techno-y kind of or songs on there.
Yeah.
They're more like the Dutch and Australian like hard style. Like it's not like that minimal techno. It's like that huge, and that's the other reason I kind of choose that music for it, is because it sounds like a university, an electronic university marching band. Mm-hmm. Like if you ever listen to any of the Dutch, hard style, it sounds like fanfare.
Yeah.
It's like horns, and it's big. It's riling up your football team and stuff like that. And so that kind of music has a university fallback. So it goes along with this professor, scientist, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like that's his university. That's his. Mm-hmm. That's building him up. Kind of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, and now Laureate is. I did a show in Tennessee where it was just a heavy ambient, and it was devoid of any. It wasn't noise. It wasn't noisy at all. It was just heavy, kind of bassy. Synth work, and then like organic stuff, kind of ice and snow, and then the album coming out is going to be a harsh noise. So it has kind of turned into something that it was not.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It doesn't.
That's good. Yeah.
You're right. It doesn't. It didn't have to stay. It's going to be. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I guess I can probably leak it. It'll be in the hospital. The new misanthropic, the International Misanthropists series. That he just did the ASM, the Yellow Gas Flames, the Richard, and the Linecraft.
Yeah. Okay, so it's coming up.
I don't know when, but it will be.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's another concept album, which. I won't really leak it. I think it'll be better if people just hear it.
Great. That's cool. Yeah, that's a very cool project. I'd actually never heard the two tapes, so I didn't know. I mean, I remember hearing that they were techno, and then the LP is so wild. It's so wild. I mean, it's really. You're right. I mean, there's nothing. It doesn't sound like anything.
Right.
So I'm excited to hear more. Except I guess then it's not going to be the same.
That the new tape doesn't sound like that, but that doesn't mean that Laureate will never sound like that again.
Yeah.
Because I have another 2 tracks that are maybe 7-inch worthy, and they're very, very much the like techno, like super, but it's also power electronics at the same time. So
cool.
Yeah.
So then tell me about DETERGE, because DETERGE is the longer running project of yours and more prolific. And you talked about PTM, and actually that
predates everything by kind of
Pyrrhic Thanatology Monger. I remember also, I think before I met you, Seth Van Horn came back from Milwaukee, and he was like, I played a show in Milwaukee. This guy Jim played Pyrrhic Thanatology Monger. He was super tough. He was.
The funny thing is, I remember that, and I was wearing I didn't have a shirt on, but I had like a leather vest.
Exactly. He told me he wore a leather vest. It was really tough.
And it just like happened to be, and I think I broke a bunch of stuff because with PTM, I used to, it was just destruction. I would play for like 2 minutes and just, break my gear and yell at people's faces and, whatever. It was just insanity. So it was tough. And then I think I remember you telling me you were kind of let down because of the show in Milwaukee. The next, it wasn't quite as tough.
He said that or I said that?
I think you did. You told me that. Yeah, you told me that because you were like, yeah, Seth told me this, and then you're like, I was expecting like something like this. You're like, it wasn't, you didn't like hate it or anything. You were like, it was something else. It wasn't like tough guy, power electronics, harsh noise or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. I just remember that you telling me that.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I'm sorry if I was rude, but I don't remember.
No, that's good. I like that. If everyone were to like everything I did all the time, then I'm doing something completely wrong.
That's true.
But yeah, so the PTM, PTM was all about just destruction and violence, and that's there wasn't an ongoing like thematic element to it. It was just kind of whatever I thought of at the time was the concept of the thing. Everything had a concept, but it wasn't ongoing. DETERGE absolutely has a concept, and it is the darker side of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It's and DETERGE it's kind of a weird word. It just means to thoroughly cleanse, and so the way I look at it is to thoroughly cleanse your mind. Whether or not you do cleanse it or do not cleanse it that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And the tagline, "You will never understand my motives," is often used. What does that mean?
I'm often, people will tell me certain things that they think of it, and to me they're completely and utterly incorrect. So I had someone. So we can just say this. I'm into like the sketchier side of stuff. I gravitate toward it. Whatever, like, who cares? But that isn't really necessarily what DETERGE is about. But someone at a show once, someone that we all know, I won't say his name, but he was trying to tell me what DETERGE was, and he was yelling at me, and he was angry with me because he said that it was it was a Nazi. It had to do with like Nazism, and I'm just sitting there listening to him, and he's like, well, DETERGE, it means ethnic cleansing. And it's just like, well, it didn't, but I guess maybe now it should, huh? Because you say it. So if that's what it is to you, then I guess that's what it is to you, and I can't change your mind. But that was it never crossed my mind. It's kind of interesting that conclusion was brought to.
Yeah.
But it was never part of it. Never. Not once did I ever think of that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of the way I do things. I don't think anyone ever is gonna understand, nor should they care. I'll do something that has such a high concept to me that nobody else on earth is going to understand or care about, but it means everything to me.
Yeah.
So someone might listen to it and just be like, okay, that's what it is. And it's just like, you don't get it. And that's fine. I don't expect everyone to. I don't expect.
Do you think some people do? Do you think some people will? I think, well, okay. That, for example, that extreme example, I think that's probably more an outlier that someone would make such assumptions.
Probably. But, that's just whatever. Do I think some people get it? Yes. I wish so. Anyone that wants to email me and ask me a question, I will absolutely. I will try my best to. I'll definitely talk to you about it. Like whatever. If you have a question, like, oh, what does this mean? Like, what is this? I am absolutely more than happy to talk about it. But rarely, I don't. No one ever comes up to me and says like, oh, like this is that, and they got it.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
With the new one I just did, so the reason why religion comes into play so much is because I think religion and science don't necessarily mix, and that's a good thing, and that's part of it. It's just they don't integrate very well. And someone had was talking to me and asked. So the newest tape was Jesus Christ, what the hell was it called? It started with a V.
Newest tape which you released, like a self. It was like that self-released one.
It was a self-released one. It's hold on a sec. All right, sorry. It's validity.
Okay.
And so, what it is it's based on in 1962, the Catholic Church had the Second Vatican Council, where they kind of changed the rules, and the Catholic Church changed a lot, and it's through the election of a new pope and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people called the Sedevacanists, and they do not accept the pope that was chosen, and therefore all the popes in succession are not real popes. They're not the true pope. And so it's based on the validity of the current Catholic Church. And someone asked me, they're like, oh, are you a Sedevacan? I grew up Catholic and went to a Catholic school and stuff. So it is interesting to me. Religion's very interesting. And I was like, I really wasn't, but after I kind of did this tape and did all the research, like I want to be.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not, but I think I want to be. I think I want to completely not denounce Catholicism, because whatever, but just denounce where it is at this current state and go back to 62 or beyond, and just like that is where the Catholic Church died. And it's it's so I had talked to that person. It's like, okay, someone like actually understood what I was getting at with it, and it's like it makes me so happy when someone gets something. There's another one that I did that it bums me out like the most. This is the thing that has bummed me out the most, and I think this is the reason why that motto started coming in. I did a tape. It was a double tape, and I think it's fundamental acoustic, and it came with these old. I think there was 45, 46 copies, and they came with these old, like little, like I guess they're little textbooks.
Yep.
And each one of them was a different subject, so not all of them were this. There was a couple doubles, but a lot of them were different, and they were like math. There was like some agriculture stuff, so it's like like farm science basically. I think it was mostly that kind of stuff. And they each came with a test, and my whole thing, I think I put a note in there, like if you send me the test back, I will grade it. And you get an extra a business card CDR, and I would just ship it to you. Like that completes the set. Two people sent me the test, and that to me is it's devastating. That's devastating, because to me, I would have sent that test back immediately.
Yeah.
That to me is so much better than anything like sound.
Yeah.
The sound
Yeah.
is cool. I like the tape. But that is so meaningful, and no one cared. No
Wow.
one cared.
Wow.
So, and that's the thing. If someone still wants to, if they have it and they're listening, send it to me. The unfortunate thing is because no one did it, the track from the business card did end up on the Chondritic 3-inch.
Oh.
But that doesn't matter. You should still send me the test back, and I will grade it and send you the B card.
What do you think that says about the way people consume noise in this day and age?
That says everything, because I think it goes along the lines of like having a big cartel. Big cartel absolutely will get you more sales. Absolutely, 100%. I would so much rather go back to my old ways of just send me an email. I used to know like the people who would send me an email. I knew their tastes. Now I you go in there. I have definitely people who are regular. They buy everything or mostly everything every single time. Just loyal followers. But a lot of them also were the ones that would email me.
Right.
Back when I used to, before I had the big cartel, and it's overconsumption. That's what that says to me, is it's overconsumed, and I don't think people care about what they have as much, myself included. I definitely fall in. I have way too much, but I don't think you need to listen to something like even more than once to fully appreciate it, because the way I see something being amazing doesn't necessarily mean it has to have replay value, because you can go see a show and it can be the best show you ever had, but you're only going to experience it once.
Right.
Sometimes you can just listen to a tape and it's like, that was incredible. I don't really need to hear it again.
Right.
But it's perfect, and it's never leaving my collection because of just because of what it is. But yeah, it's things like that. It's just like, I know whoever got it, if they even listened to it, there's no way they didn't look at the booklet at all. They had to have. How can you not? And they whether or not they just forgot or, but it's not, you're not consuming the product. If you didn't send it back to me, you did not fully listen to it. You might as well have just not listened to it at all, because that's the purpose of it. Listening to it while studying and then doing the test. That was the purpose of it. And it's the I'm going to download it and listen to it in my car kind of mentality. That's I think that now we can circle back even to the music and noise thing. Music is absolutely downloadable. You just throw it in your car. Noise is different. You just listen to it differently.
Yeah.
Whether or not you listen to it like music, you kind of just listen to it differently.
Yeah.
And so that it's a problem of, and I'm not even telling people don't release more, because that's telling a painter not to paint. Who cares? If you have to thumb through and listen to all the stuff to get something good, but you find that good thing, it's worth it. You get 100 new kids who find noise, and most of them are, they release tons of stuff, whatever. But you get that one or two good people that are going to stay, it's all worth it. It's all worth that, 98 leaving, because that's what it will happen. They will just go away.
Right.
It's something they found, it's interesting, and then they leave.
Right.
And there's because of the internet and because of how easy it is to consume sound, amazing things get kind of pushed aside. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
You say, you're okay with, the influx of this and that, but what do you think would be some solutions or ideas to remedy that in the current age? Because I mean, I do think that's a modern
Yeah,
phenomenon.
I think Bandcamp and SoundCloud should just disappear. It should absolutely disappear. And I know it helps labels. People get money. That's the good part of it, and that's fine. I'm not saying take that away, but I think people care more. If you have to dub a tape, you care. You care about what you are doing. And that's the thing. I think everyone should, before they go to other labels, they should absolutely release a few of their own things on their own. And guess what? You're going to sell 5 copies, and it doesn't matter. We all did it. You have to do that in order to appreciate it. And that might be the thing is newcomers and stuff, I don't think they appreciate the craft of noise. Because it's just, I'm going to make it, throw it on Bandcamp. Doesn't matter what it sounds like. I never listen to it again. I recorded it. It could sound like total shit. And it doesn't matter. Here it is, available to all for $1 or free or whatever. It doesn't matter. The way to combat that is to stop putting things on Bandcamp. Just stop. And if it has like its physical media and it comes with a download code, maybe only download code only, like you can't stream it or anything, just so maybe you can listen to it. In your car, whatever. Yeah. I think that might be fine, but just the ability to stream and download at will, and upload everything you could possibly upload, it cheapens it.
Yeah,
it definitely cheapens it.
Do you think labels have a responsibility in doing something there, or do you think they're part of the problem?
Definitely part of the problem. They're less of the problem. But they're still part of it because it exists. And like I said, I like that the labels and artists can, make money from that, from whatever they do. If someone likes it, and that's some things can be on that and it's fine and it's consumed properly and enjoyed. But I think it's rarer. I think that's the thing. I think it is a label responsibility, but as a label, you should, if you're relying only on streaming and downloading, maybe you should make more copies. And I understand, 50 copies it sounds like absolutely nothing in, the music and stuff industry world, because it is nothing. Because guess what? We're all nothing. It doesn't matter. So 50 copies is cool. If you can sell 50 copies and those 50 people enjoy it, that's great. If you can do 100, great. If you can do 250, great. But I don't know. It's such a weird phenomenon that you and I are of the age where it almost always has existed for us. Not quite. I don't know. Did you ever write like letters to people when you first started?
Letters. Emails.
Not letters, emails and stuff. Okay, so I barely wrote letters. But you hear about like the 90s guys, they all just wrote letters and stuff. Like you'll get tapes, old tapes or something that you buy secondhand and they'll have like a letter in it or something. Yeah. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
But if the more you have to actually sit down and take the time might be the problem. Now I think it's we don't have, no one has time.
Yeah.
But that means you have to prioritize your time and maybe only consume the really important things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with your example of this tape that the people didn't really engage in, do you feel like that's also... I mean, I kind of... What I see is, like, oftentimes the ritual of the buy and the announcement and the drop. And, that goes hand in hand with Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
as being what it's all about for a lot of people. Like that moment where that rare thing that you know is limited to like 50 and has some cool packaging comes up on Instagram. It feels sort of underground, but then you get a link to the big cartel and you can buy it. And then that's kind of the appreciation of the object and of the work kind of comes from that. And then it's maybe not really about the actual
Yeah, I agree.
engagement in the work. It's like, okay, I got this cool like double DETERGE tape with the cool packaging and it's got some cool book in there. All right, cool. What's the next one?
Right. You're not wrong. You are not
You know?
wrong. I think that is part of it. And that's the problem, because as a label, let's look at it from a label standpoint. Because if you self-release, that's your own thing, and if you self-release, you're your own label, so you can fit into this. It is a label's job to get the product out. They should probably want to at least make their money back. Unless it's completely passion, then whatever, that's not the point. But even still, why are you doing it if you don't want people to have it? And that's, even if it's limited to 10, there might be a purpose for that. These are my materials. This is how many I think I'm going to sell. This is, it's special. This number is significant to the release, whatever it may be. I don't think that's an issue. But like when you just put it up as like a link like that, you as a label, you're wanting to sell. That's the whole point. The whole point is to sell it and to get it into the hands of people. If we went back to ads and zines only, you're definitely not going to sell anywhere close to what you would if you put it on Instagram or a MailChimp even, whatever. But I think the gratification of I think the people who see that and write to you and say, hey, like, I want to grab these tapes, I think they are going to really enjoy. Well, they're going to be more inclined to listen to it. They had to do work. When you make the consumer do work, I think the product is better. Yeah. When the consumer doesn't have to do work, it just becomes a sale. And like labels, including myself, we continue to just do things. It's like, okay, well, I sold it. I don't, some people maybe don't care what other people do after they get it.
Right.
I kind of do.
Right.
Certain things, if someone wants me to just put their tape out and I put it out, and if no one likes it, I'm sorry. I liked it. I put it out. Yeah. If you don't, that's not. But if there is something more to it, I care. Why or anyone, like there's been people who have done tapes through me that they give me a whole like concept and stuff, like that's great. Like I hope people get that. And do they? I don't know. I have no idea. I want them to. That's the whole reason I'm putting it out. Oh.
So what is your label's philosophy?
Okay. So let's put it in the context of someone sending me a demo. I'd like to know, well, first off, what does it sound like? I will hear that. Do you have, what is it? What are you sending me? Are you just sending me noise without any context whatsoever? Or did you think about it and say, this is, this. It means this. This is my mindset while I'm doing it. This is why either the art is the way it is, or if someone asks me to do the art, it's like, this is what I'm looking for. That is important to me when I get a demo. And so I have a system then where it's, if it is If it sounds really, really good and the concept is just whatever, I will still probably put it out because it sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me something that's garbage and the concept is amazing, I will absolutely even more put it out because I like that more. If you give me something with mediocre sound and a lackluster concept, I don't care. There has to be some thought into it. So if your sound is mediocre and the concept is verging on great, I'm more inclined. Mm-hmm. If you have no concept and the sound is pretty decent, I'll have to think about it. So concept is kind of more important a little bit.
I see.
It's not 100% necessary, but I think it weighs more. It could be anything. It could just be like, this is about, and I've heard people just through I think random your podcasts or Gray and the Conleys, or just in forums or talking in whatever. It's just like, well, what's the point of a concept if it's just noise? It doesn't matter. Like, this concept doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't. Who cares? It's just your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's the concept, is your thoughts.
Right.
The sound can reflect it exactly, like, oh, hey, like I did the tape that's on the saw and the reciprocating motion. All the sound sources are saws. Yeah. It's like sound source, and it came on a saw. So that's the concept. Yeah. It's obvious what it is. Yeah. Someone could do a concept of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want this to be about Godzilla. And it doesn't sound anything like Godzilla, and it's whatever, but you were watching Godzilla movies when you made it or something like that. And it's like, so no matter what, it is about Godzilla. Doesn't matter what it sounds like. Yeah. So who cares? But that thought process at least has to be there. It's not like, I'm going to go into my studio and I'm going to do this, and it's like, okay, here's my noise. It's like, yeah, but why? Who cares? Were you mad? Were you sad? Were you some kind of emotion should be there. Or the purposeful lack of that is still a concept.
Right.
So, I don't know. Just put thought into your noise.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter. Just put thought into it.
So that's your label. That's how you curate your label.
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time. That's why you hear things. I've definitely put out things that it's just like, I don't really care to listen to this. It doesn't matter. But it's like, you know what? That was cool. The way you engaged this, the way you approached me, I liked it. So it didn't matter what it sounded like at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you give advice? I mean, okay, you kind of just gave the advice of your label philosophy, but can you give advice for a newer noise artist who doesn't really know people? What's the first steps they should be going through to get their stuff released by a label that they like, and to get involved and to get it circulated?
First and foremost, start supporting labels. If you're sending me something and you've literally never bought, it's like, hey, I guess there are distros, so sometimes people might get something and I've never heard of them before. I guess I don't really think of that, but I'll get like demos from people like, hey, I love your label, and it's just like, how? I've never seen your name. I've never sent anything to your house, and they could have very well got it from a distro or something like that. So I guess I shouldn't dismiss it immediately like that. But you should definitely support the labels. You can email and start talking to anyone. I'm sure if someone emails you out of the blue and they're just like, hey, you're probably going to at least respond to them if you have time. And hey, maybe you'll get to know the person. How does anybody talk to anybody? Well, you talk to them.
Right.
So talk to people. Hey, some labels you like, just talk to them first. Don't even send them a demo. Just be like, hey, I'm working on some new material. I'm wondering, like what kind of gear are you using, or something like that. Like, if you're not like gatekeeping gear or whatever, or like how do you get something to sound like this, and you kind of engage it as, I'm not soliciting you a demo at this moment. I'm engaging in a conversation, and hey, I'm looking for something that sounds like that. Do you know any artists that sound like X? Maybe I can be like, oh yeah, check out this, check out Oscars, check out White Centipede.
Yeah.
He might have what you're looking for, exactly in, this tape or this CD.
Yeah.
Just you have to engage. You have to. And that's along with the consumption. It's like, I don't think people engage anymore. They get it. And that's all they know. And maybe they're afraid, and that's fine. It is intimidating to just randomly talk to someone you don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the best way, and it's really the only way to. It's a better way. If someone just starts talking to me, I will talk to them. And a lot of times, we just end up. It's like, oh yeah, just sure, give me something. It'll sound,
Yeah.
That's. It sounds hard, but it's that simple.
It
just
is.
talk
Okay.
to anyone.
That's great. Yeah, no, you're
Forum.
right.
You can talk to people on a forum, you don't even have to directly message them, but you can quote them on something, and then chances are they're going to respond to you, and maybe you can get in a back and forth, and then maybe you can send them a direct message, and maybe then an email. Talk to someone on Discogs. Someone has something, send them a message. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Any way you can, talk to someone. If you want to pursue this in one way or another, talk to people first before you solicit your material.
That's absolutely true. Do you think there are reasons to do it on places outside of Instagram? Or do you think Instagram is just as fine as the other ones, or do you have any opinion on different platforms?
Instagram is fine for that. I mean, it's all the same. You're still talking to someone. It's just, it's a form of communication. To me, actually, that's what social media should be. It should just be to talk to people.
Yeah.
That's using it for its actual purpose. So yeah. Facebook, whatever you think about those things, who cares? Put that aside. Right. If it's a form of communication that you can get a friend or companion with, or like-minded, but maybe this person's amazing, and if people are just not caring about them or they're too afraid, how are we ever going to know?
Right. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. I do agree about Instagram, but I would like to put level that one up, and I will say an email is makes a huge difference.
An email is way better.
But it makes a huge difference because I get Instagram DMs every day, and most of them, first of all, go into that folder where if you're not following someone already, and then it's like, okay, I see that or people doing the flames or the likes or the whatever, and it's like, okay, I do like when someone actually engages me in a dialogue on any of those platforms. That's the thing, is like a dialogue. Hey, like some comment or like some question or something like that makes a big difference. But like if someone actually sends me an email, the thing is, I'm slower to respond, because I mean, like, I might have my phone in my hand all day and be just fucking scrolling through it all day and just checking that, and then Instagram is like the quickest way to shoot off a message if I want to respond or whatever. But I'll definitely respond eventually with much more thought if someone writes me an email. So those are all great points.
I absolutely am the same way.
Yeah, and you're right. And I'm gonna add on to that. Yeah, get involved, contact people, talk to them, and talk to them about stuff without soliciting your stuff. But not saying, like don't plan out like, hey, I'm gonna
right.
I'm gonna
don't make it a ruse.
I'm gonna court this person first, and then, hey, you got this demo. But like, just so much stuff.
If that's how you do it and you do it well, I guess more power to you.
Yeah, sure, more power to you.
Yeah, but I definitely.
Like, I mean, ton of stuff I've released has just come from someone that I hit it off with well.
Same.
Being a label, like, they don't be a customer. I mean, like, you don't want to say buy yourself into a label, but like,
no. I'm not saying that either, but that always helps.
it helps. Or and I also don't say, oh, he just kiss my ass and say, oh, your label's so amazing, oh, Wince is so amazing, whatever. But like, if someone has some actual thoughts or feedback or whatever on something that I know that I've been involved with, and I can see this person, it's about sincerity.
Yes.
When I see that someone's sincere about loving this stuff and being into it and about their own work and maybe something that I've done, I'm right away like, hey, so what do you do? Like I mean, not right away, but I mean, I'm that's how it works. And
Well, a lot of times you can tell, and I think that's why I asked for like a concept, because it's like, how sincere are you? If you have a concept, you're probably a little bit more sincere than, hey, here's my demo.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything. Here's my demo.
Right.
If someone cold, emails me, hey, I got this. This is what I was, doing with it. It's all about this and this. It's like, all right, like that's engaging. Let's talk about that. Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, you sent me a demo, but you also you put thought into why you were sending me the demo, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I just want to take this moment to just tell people bluntly, stop sending cold Bandcamp links or something to your stuff.
Yeah.
Just stop it. It's just it's fine if you have the time to do it. If you want to do it, go ahead. But it puts you in a class of artists that people don't want to work with. I was thinking of this. There's like a tier system. Unfortunately, there's some sort of hierarchy. There's some sort of classism within the noise scene. There's some sort of separation, and there's artists that do that all the time, and there's artists that don't. And the artists that do it all the time don't get honestly, no one cares about them because they.
Right.
I mean, really. I mean, if you want people to take you seriously, stop doing that.
Yeah.
So I checked my DMs or whatever earlier today, and I had some unknown person. Hey, I'm doing experimental noise, and here's my links, and I'm just like, stop. If that's you, don't do it. Stop doing it.
Right. And the other thing is, it's like, if it's on Bandcamp, isn't it released? Why are you sending me? Why? What is that? How is that a demo? It's done.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that is sometimes like, not like, do you want to release this? But it's just like, hey, listen to my stuff.
It's okay. Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Like,
I guess that is a demo then. That's a demo of, here's a demonstration of what I can do.
Yeah.
And the thing is when you approach it that way, yeah, it kind of makes you not want to even listen to it. And the other unfortunate thing is, what if it actually is amazing, but you're approaching me that way?
Yeah. And
I'm not listening to it, and now I just missed out because you approached it in such a terrible way. Terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk to someone. Why are you contacting me instead of Oscar or Ray at Chondritic or whatever, anyone.
Right. Well, the thing is, usually those kinds of messages tell me that you are also contacting them.
Right.
Like, those kind of messages tell me you're not contacting just me. You're contacting
labels, not
everyone.
My label. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So.
Yeah. Good point. I think that's true.
Okay, so back to Fusty. So you have a very specific label aesthetic and packaging. You do crazy packaging.
And not always, but yeah.
Not always. But you're known for crazy packaging, and you've talked about it already quite a bit, why that's important to you, But can you tell about your label aesthetic and what you try to achieve there, and what your attitude is towards like putting together the graphic design or putting together the packaging? What's the important thing? What's not the important thing?
So let's just say I'm doing a normal collage, my style of collage. someone, yeah, I'm doing a tape for someone. It's easier for myself. It's easy. It's just what it is. What it is. It's a little bit harder for someone else. So I'll use that as a better example. I'm doing a tape for someone. They have requested I do the art. So I like to do the art unless the person has a very, very specific thing that they want. Then absolutely I'll use their art. Whatever. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But I prefer to do the art, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I want you to do the art." Like, there's a reason they're asking me is because they want me to do the art for it. If I'm not doing anything elaborate, I will go through all my sources while like listening to what they gave me, and whatever jumps out at me as I'm listening, that is at least I'll rip it out and or cut it out or whatever, and it gets put in like a pile of like, okay, these are possible sources for this. Then I will I'll cull through it and I'll put it together in whatever way that I think that it should be for that release. And it's all analog, I guess, and it's not the correct word, but you know what I mean. It's all real. Yeah, it's physical. And the only thing I really use a computer for is I'll Photoshop in like the text or it's certain things like that, just basically to format it so that it it looks like a nice J card or whatever it's going to be. But that's the only thing I really will use a computer for. I don't get images from Google or anything like that, unless I've done it and it's because someone wanted something so specific that it's like there's no magazine that really is going to have this, or if I can't. There's no way I'm going to find that in the wild. Like if you sent me the magazine, like sure, but it's incredibly rare that I would ever use a Google image.
Yeah.
As far as like something more elaborate, I like to go to like I would go to like estate sales and stuff like that, and it's like I like to, if there's something that kind of catches your eye and there's a decent amount of it, I'm getting all of it. Like, hey, you got I think there's an old PTM that came in a rabbit trap, and there's unfortunately there's only 7 of them. But it's just like, well, I found 7 cool rabbit traps. Like, I have to put a tape in this. Like, how could I not?
Yeah.
So you kind of use what you have. Sometimes it is normal things that you can just have a lot of, like the Al's skin graft. The little, like, it's got the nails.
Yeah.
They're nails. You can get nails anywhere. So that was, and I like the idea of a not special package. That's just the package. It's, it's not like there's 10 wrapped in nail. No, there's 100.
Yeah.
That's the release. It's 100 in a thing, and actually my wife is the one that soldered all those.
Wow.
Because she likes to solder. So, and I can't really solder for, I'm not good at it. She is. I have recruited her to do some things. She's done some art. She's sewn things because I can't sew. But yeah, so a lot of, and it's just like, okay, this is cool, I guess. See, it might not necessarily make sense. It's just cool. Yeah. But I will save certain things for certain, like, just because I have something, like I've had things for like 10 years that I haven't used yet. And it's just like, it's gotta be the right thing to use this.
Yeah. Do you have a crazy storage full of stuff that you're planning to use?
I wish it was a storage. It's just a mess. Like I feel bad for my wife.
It's your house.
Yeah, it's got so much garbage of mine. She has like 10% of the stuff, Yeah, yeah. So I'm a jerk.
What about like the kind of like the typeface aesthetic? Because I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but I mean, some of the stuff is like okay, like the logo is like oftentimes pixelated, like some weird like font. It kind of seems like you're just like do you have kind of just like a fuck it kind of attitude towards like some of the layouts or the way.
Um, yes, kinda, somewhat, not always, but sometimes it's I might find a font that it's like I'll go through fonts or so there's millions of free fonts and just like okay that one looks kind of cool, maybe that'll work for that one.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I actually kind of just like to use normal fonts, I
Yeah.
guess. It is just whatever. It's well, I shouldn't say that. It's not whatever, but
Yeah.
I somewhat treat the text as a little bit. The text is probably the most whatever part of the package.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sometimes I just suck at that because I also don't really know how to use Photoshop. I can use it, but I'm not a graphic designer at all.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
almost rather just write on a piece of scrap paper and then paste it on there.
yeah.
But sometimes you're like I don't know.
I see some sort of similarities sometimes between it and like I see self abuse is kind of like the same way too. Sometimes like some of those older self abuse, it's such a essential cult label, and sometimes you look at like the layouts or like the fonts that he used or something. It's like Times New
It's,
Roman or something like that. It's like it just looks like super like random. Like he just used like some random font at the end of the day, and like it doesn't look cool. Like some people I don't like. I'm also not a graphic design guy, so I use like one font and it kind of works for me. But like you see some guys, some stuff that have this really slick layout, and someone that's like really knew how to do this, and you see other layouts where it's just like fuck it, let's get it done. And it's like, I like that. It's like and so I kind of see that on Fusty sometimes. Like you have these like elaborate packaging, and then like this sort of like kind of like fuck it, like layouts with the fonts and stuff like that. And it's
it's almost fuck it because I still.
it's not
It's not
fuck
like I
it. I
just
mean,
go boom and put it up there. It's like, all right, well, now I try to put,
yeah,
and so if things are like off center, there's a reason. It isn't like
yeah,
just I'm not like,
yeah.
blind. But yeah, and the pixelation is probably because maybe yes I am blind and I just can't see it, or it looks good on the screen and when you print it out, you print out like a bunch of them and you're just like, well, I guess that's I. If it looks awful, I would probably reprint it.
Yeah.
But if it's like, all right, well, I guess this is what it looks like.
What are some labels that have been influences on you?
Hospital, obviously.
Yeah. You got a hospital tattoo, right?
I do. Here. Nope, wrong leg.
Nice.
Yeah. It's no surprise that I'm a big hospital fan. But self-abuse is as far as just curation, self-abuse is amazing.
Yeah.
They're like second to none with just hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, it's just a normal JK. It doesn't have to be insane. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
As far as like other things, sound probe is very important, and it's underrated in only the fact because the stuff's hard to find, so people don't really know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible though, Dan, what he did with the label, it's semi short lived. It's not short lived as far as time, but just as far as like output, there's not too much.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing. The packaging, everything is thoughtful. It's with care.
Yeah.
Gross is perfect. Gross is probably the most beautiful label of all time.
Yeah.
In in all of the music world and anything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
MSBR, things like that. It's a lot of the things that kind of package weird. That's the influence.
Yeah.
There's a theme there, obviously.
How much of your free time goes into working on the label?
It just kind of happens. It's just like when I just do things, I just do it. Some things take me days, some things take me a couple hours.
Yeah.
I guess it's just when I feel like it.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't like set aside like, okay, I got to do this. It's all right. Well, I'm sitting down, doing whatever. Maybe I'll work on something.
Yeah. What should people know if they're thinking about starting a label of their own?
If you're just starting, be prepared to lose money. Be prepared to not sell very much. Be very prepared to trade. If someone offers you a trade, you 100% take that trade. Don't go asking label like, hey, I got this, you want to trade? I mean, you can do that. And sometimes people are more than willing to trade, but it's kind of... I trade. I definitely still like trading, but first of all, it's very hard to trade overseas now because it's unbelievable shipping prices. Just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But in the States, it's like I have so much stuff now that it's like, give me a reason to trade with you, and I'll trade with you probably. At a show, I will more than definitely trade with you.
Yeah.
That's easier because it's just you hand it off.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great. Yeah. Shipping something, it's not that shipping costs much, but it's like, do I need what you're gonna give me? Right. Maybe I do. So, entice me. But yeah, definitely trade. Treat, if you're doing other people's things, treat it like you would treat your own. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna treat yours like shit, I guess that's your thing. But if you're gonna treat yours really well and then treat something else in your label wrong, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I can't really think of like examples or anyone that would do that. It's just a thing that you shouldn't do.
Right.
Oh yeah, my wife. The most important thing: ship things out on time. Don't make people wait. Like, I understand there is a need for some pre-orders. And when you say something is a pre-order, that's fine because at least you're upfront about it being a pre-order. If you can't get to the post office within a week of selling something, you have absolutely no business running a label, because what are you doing? Like, it really isn't that hard to go to, not even go to the post office, but you can put things in a mailbox and put the flag up.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Just ship it on time. Like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
I try to ship things out day of. You order from me, if I can get it out that day, I'm going to. If I get a bunch of orders, that's what I'm doing all night. I'm packing orders and they're going out the next day.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I know Krumer does that. He's very good at that.
Yeah.
But if you can't do it within a week, think about what you're doing. If you can't do it in 2 weeks, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And if it takes you a month, absolutely don't ever have a label. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Pre-order's fine. I don't like pre-order. But yeah, like if you have it in hand, it should be shipping.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you releasing it?
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
It's irritating.
Yeah, it's true. So those are good. Any other musts that someone should know about starting a label in 2022? I'd like to have you back. I'd like to have you back as a guest on a segment, a series, the Label Spill series about
Oh
like
yeah, absolutely.
label stuff. We can do
Yeah,
that 'cause you've
whenever.
got a lot. You've got a lot of good wisdom.
Hold on, my wife's saying. What were you saying? Yeah, good. Be prepared for your equipment to always fail, because it will. Um, you might not necessarily have to know how to fix it, but you should. If buying another one is out of the question, at least learn how to fix it,
Yeah,
or know someone who knows how to fix whatever it is.
yeah,
If you, let's say you dub a bunch of tapes and they all sound like shit, um, be prepared to, like, when someone says, hey, like, I got a bad dub, either redub it for them,
yeah.
which is no problem, or oftentimes, because sometimes I use, like, weird tape lengths, like it's a C23 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I don't have C23s anymore. It's like, you can send it back and I'll 100% dub it for you.
Yeah,
Or I'll give you the WAV files. It's fine. If
yeah.
most people are fine with that.
Right.
And they can dub it themselves or just listen to the WAV, whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, things are gonna break. Your dubs are gonna suck every once in a while.
yeah,
No matter how good at dubbing tapes you are,
yeah,
things will get by.
yeah,
Um, yeah, you just, I don't know, just do it right.
yeah,
And you're gonna fail. When you start, you're gonna fail, and it's fine.
yeah.
But at least learn from your failures. At least learn
For
from them.
sure. Yeah, exactly. I think yeah, and also like you said, like having some damage control, money and time prepared, like, and that you're gonna lose money in the beginning.
Yeah, you will. You definitely will, and that's
Yeah,
fine. We all
yeah,
did.
yeah,
We all did. Every single one of us. No one running a noise label right now was a success immediately. No one. Unless they themselves were a success and they decided to start a label and it was, good off the bat. But that doesn't count.
right.
That's not them starting. That's them existing already. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Um, that reminds me, I actually have a question. I opened up a question for people on the White Stampy Noise Maniac Circle Discord server, and someone had a question for you. They asked, I was curious if Jim saw an upscale in sales and general awareness of the label after artists he's worked with like Pharmacon and Prurient became more prominent on a larger musical landscape.
what was the first part of it?
Wondering if you noticed an uptick in awareness of the label or sales after Pharmacon or artists like Pharmacon and Prurient became more well known on, because you worked with both of them in earlier days, but after they
Yeah.
became more well known on a larger scale, if you saw more
Um.
awareness or interest in Fusty through that potentially.
Probably. I think it definitely helps if you've worked with someone, because they're gonna look at it. And like I went on tour with Pharmacon, so, and funny thing is she's huge now. Um, we played in Tennessee to one person,
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
and like that's outrageous.
yeah,
Because we were both nothing at that point.
right, yeah,
And it really is hard to say. The unfortunate answer is I saw more of an uptick when I made a big cartel.
sure,
So whether or not, and maybe that was, people had heard about it because of, they bought the Prurient Rita or something like that.
yeah,
And the fact that there's 200 or 300 of those, that definitely helps. And yeah,
right,
I think there's 300 of the DETERGE Pharmacon that Sam and I did.
mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Nothing like crazy where it was like, oh, that's absolutely why. But I guarantee I got some customers because of that.
Sure. Do you think a label should seek out artists or individuals to work with because of their
No.
potential fame
No.
or popularity?
Nope. Absolutely not. Do I think as a label you should only do whatever you want. Don't look at it who the person is. If the person happens to be and you really really like their stuff and whatever, sure, I guess that's a bonus. But seeking something out to basically profit off them, I think that's so disingenuous. It's terrible.
Do you think that happens in the noise scene?
Definitely. Absolutely. I won't even name examples, but it definitely does. You know it does. I think everyone does.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. It might not be as malicious as like, ooh, I'm gonna make money, or gain some fame because I put out this, but maybe it's like, oh, I heard of this. I heard they're pretty big. Let me ask them to do a tape, or whatever. It's like, why don't you learn their back catalog and enjoy them and then put it out? Right. That's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's another thing is like people starting new labels should also be I think you should really pride yourself on releasing something that is unknown. I think that's the real move.
I love putting out things that no one else has ever heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, this is this person's first tape.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's cool.
And it's
maybe
cool.
You get them recognized, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. It's just cool. It's good.
Yeah.
There is so much out there that you can put out something unknown that is still good. Not everything unknown is bad.
Of course.
Absolutely. Like I said, someone's got to start somewhere.
Yeah. You mentioned the name Fusty Cunt. You don't like it anymore, and someone actually wrote me one time when I was starting my Shopify, when I switched over to Shopify from Big Cartel, and was like, "Hey, be careful with, using certain words on the thing because they have like bots that, or moderators, I don't know, but they'll, they can be like triggered by certain words." I also had a friend get his PayPal blocked from selling through Big Cartel, Genocide Organ and Mauthausen Orchestra.
What an awful company PayPal is.
Yeah. So PayPal actually blocked him, or they froze his account for a while.
I think I saw something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I've noticed it more and more now that I'm using social media more. Is that I've noticed that, for example, a lot of people will use like they'll censor words or whatever, and it's not because of, hey, I don't want to say these words. It's because you will get, I don't know,
flagged or whatever, right?
Flagged, shadow banned, or just kind of buried algorithmically if that kind of stuff is picked up on. Have you had any sort of issues with that or anything like that, or any sort of like just censorship or kind of deplatforming or people coming after you about stuff?
Surprisingly, no. Never. And I don't like censor anything. So, hey, whatever. If I've been shadow banned, I guess I just don't know. And I guess I don't care.
Yeah.
But no one's ever really come up to me, and I've seen people like offended by things I've put out, but they definitely would never confront me on it. They'll just post about it and whatever. But I haven't seen anything that necessarily affects the business part of it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I try not to. I don't like put things out for the sake of being like offensive or something like that. So a lot of times it's actually just not.
Yeah.
And I think because maybe I just call it Fusty, and that's not even a self-censorship or like an awareness of like, oh, I better not, put cunt on there. It's just I I'm I'm lazy. I'm too lazy. I'll just write the word Fusty and it's fine.
Yeah.
But so maybe I accidentally, stopped that from happening to myself without my knowledge,
Okay.
like without intention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have seen that. I get it. Especially if you're running a label, it's your business. Why, it's better to just censor a word and whatever than you'll get deplatformed, so you can't get any money.
Yeah, I've just started. I think the last upload I did of your stuff. I think the old ones I still have it on con, but the last one I did like CNT or something like that because I'm just like I don't know.
Yeah, if you do it, just put Fusty. I don't want it to mess with you either. So yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's just more when I think of that. It's kind of a shame, but it's like
it is a shame, but it's reality, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
yeah.
One thing I think is weird is like censoring thing. I've seen it before. Like there's a word, a certain word or something like that, and it has like asterisks in like on the actual like artwork, and not just like they posted a picture of it and censored it or something like that. It's just like, why are you putting it out if you're gonna censor? Why are you gonna censor your own label? Like then just don't do it. Or I have a problem with this word. I don't want to change it or we can't do it. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Censoring anything is very strange to me. And the fact that we have to do it for certain things like that because things that are way, way, way out of our control, oh man, it's like devastating.
Yeah. Have you had any issues like that in like the physical world in terms of like gigs or physical confrontations or things with people like that?
No, but I'll never forget it. I think it was might have been the first time I met Hansel. Chris.
Who?
From Chris Hansel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. He played a show in Chicago, and I think I would assume I played, but it's right when the support tape came out, the first support tape, and I had a picture of the cop. I can't remember his name, Darren Wilson, and he's like the only person. He didn't say anything bad. He goes. He's like I hate this. He's like I just want to break all these tapes. I was like, good. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like, but that's the only time. And he didn't say it like he was offended by it. It was just kind of like I want to break these, and it's like, well, then it elicited the proper reaction. That's exactly, that's exactly the purpose of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one's ever like been upset at a show or anything. No one's ever confronted me about anything really. Not that I can remember. It must have been if it happened, it was that insignificant that I can't remember.
Yeah. What are some things in the scene of 2022 that really excite or satisfy you? What noise in this current era?
Well, on a personal level, the Pittsburgh scene is actually really good. And this time I really didn't have too much to do with it. Like Chicago, I helped build. This, it's Henry. Gotta give props to Henry. But we right now, if people who are buying tapes, they are buying tapes from Mailer Theory. They're buying Slacking's the new guy. He's great and he's amazing live. Really we got Black Leather Jesus here. We got John from Detachment. Dana and Tyler, they run Collision, that's kind of the place we mostly play. It's got excellent PA. They do a lot of punk shows and techno shows there, but Dana and Tyler are very noise friendly. So they're, most shows are there. Dana's project. God, sorry, Dana. Oh my God, it's escaping me. But I did a tape for him, and we did a collab. Yeah, he's amazing. Just really, really good, like harsh modular synth. Or sometimes he plays like beautiful ambient. He can, but it doesn't sound like modular stuff. I know that's a generalization. Mac's gonna get mad at me for generalizing modulars. But I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Macronympha's kind of back.
Yeah.
And who else is really good here? Whatever. It's Pittsburgh scene. It's
cool.
Pretty good. As far as like the scene as a whole,
or noise music. I mean, scene.
Yeah. I think people are starting to do a little bit of more of elaborate packaging, which that can't die. Like I said way earlier, if that dies, noise dies. So like just people that aren't, like, you look at what Hospital's doing, and it's absolutely insane. Like the most insane packaging in all of noise, absolutely, right now, if not ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just normal people kind of, and it's even just like, hey, this is like in a like piece of like glass shard or something. It's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's something different.
Yeah.
And I think people are more doing that, like the younger kids. It's like they haven't it's not gone to them.
Yeah, they're not over that.
Right, they're not over it. They and those are the ones who will still release physical media and stuff. They're not like Bandcamp. It's just like, hey, I want this to be, this is insane.
Yeah.
I wish. Sure.
This is something you'll appreciate.
Oh, what is that?
Sent to me in a broken box from Virginia. It's the dude's name. I always want to call it Nyocthobliss, but it's not Nyocthobliss. That's the metal band. It's dude Orion Lopez, I think, from. I can't open
familiar.
It. What's it?
Yeah, things like that. Look at how like stupid that is. It's great. It's.
It took like so long to get through customs. It took so much back and forth, and I was like, I didn't know what it was. And then it was like, got it. It's like this stick sticking out of the box. I was like, God damn it!
Perfect. No, it's difficult. It should be difficult. Inaccessibility. I'd like to say that CDs are coming back, but I don't think they are. I think that was a myth. Unless I don't know. Because I just did those 3 CDs, and man, they sold like garbage. So maybe it's just what it was, but I mean, they're things that I feel like definitely should have sold.
They sold well for me.
Yeah, well, that's good. Maybe
out of them,
maybe it's just me. But the Proof of the Shooting box set sold it's gone. Yeah. It's gone from me. I don't know if Dan and Pat still have some.
Yeah,
I assume they probably have some, but. I don't know. I think the thing with CDs is people think that they're going to be around longer, which they will, so they kind of hold off, and then maybe they forget about it.
Yeah. There is that. I mean, yeah, I think that ties into. I try to avoid it. I try to resist it, but there's that phenomenon like we talked about earlier, like the release day.
Yeah.
Flush, and I think some CDs maybe aren't. I don't know. People, they get swept along in the stream, and because they're larger editions, usually, people usually think of that way. And we saw those couple years where there were tons and tons of CDs.
Yeah,
and they're still coming out. But I mean, like since 2020, I think there were so many CDs.
I think there's some labels that can just do it better, maybe, and maybe it's I'm not known for CDs, so You
Yeah.
know, I can sell tapes all day long. You know, they'll probably sell out.
That's
CDs.
probably that's probably it. I think just because Fusty's really known. I think you're really known for your tapes and the special. Not everything is really crazy packaging, but everything has a certain special hand. It's a very handmade
Yeah, yeah.
object. I mean, you get something from you. It's like even if it's crazy and weird, and you're like, "What is this?" It's still like this is something you made. And CDs do have that
Manufacturer kind of.
manufactured, mass-produced thing. And I think maybe for the people who really follow your label, that maybe wasn't as directly didn't
Right.
have that
That could be.
fussy touch. I don't know.
Even though these didn't like sell all that well, I don't regret doing them. I think they're good. I like them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. And whatever, they're around. I
Well, that's the thing.
occasionally do. Go ahead.
The thing is, like, you put them out how long ago?
2 months.
That's not that long.
It isn't that long. It is in the the
It is in the
the
tape. It is in the
getting.
tape game.
Yeah, you're
In
right.
the limited to 50 tape game, that's a long time. But in the CD game, that's how it
There's
should
not
be.
CDs that have been around. I'm sure Pat has CDs that he did in the '90s that he still has.
Exactly. And it's a slow burn with CDs, and if it's good, they'll trickle out. And I think that's the way you got to look at CDs. And like, you can't be like, oh fuck, last week like they've been out for 2 weeks and they've already slowed down selling. Yeah, it's just how it goes. But they'll
Right.
they'll go.
Yeah, and whatever. If they don't, they don't. But they're good.
Yeah,
It's
for
good
sure.
stuff. Like especially like they're all good, but the Colbert, man, he's just doing some really good ambient. Like if you
Yeah,
want good ambient, he's up there right now.
for
I don't know
sure.
something about Long Island ambient because Luceria and Colbert, they're both from Long Island and
Yeah,
very very good.
yeah. So tell me about your collection.
What do you want to know?
Well, you're famous for your collection. Uh, I see you're sitting in front of what I assume is a small portion of it.
It's a small portion.
I know you're at least aiming to be a hospital completist.
So the thing that sucks about that is every time that I think I'm that much close, there's like something else. Like, oh yeah, there's this also. And it's like, God damn it. Because
Yeah.
like at one point I thought I had 19 left, and now I think it's up. It's still like less than 30, but out of what 800 and
Yeah.
some, and they're all. I have a lot of the very early stuff. It's missing. I think I'm missing a lot of stuff from like when he moved from Madison to Rhode Island,
Okay.
and when it like there's and it's I think it's because it's fractured because him and Matt Simmons, who ran the label with him in Madison, they were both doing things at the same time. I think. So there's certain things that's just like, well, there might actually only be like 5 of these.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so it's like there's definitely some stuff that I probably will never have and no one will ever have, but it's the
Does
hunt.
he
I like the
does,
hunt.
does he help you with that process at all?
He has helped me a couple times, yeah. He's
Is he like
gotten-
he knows he knows it's your goal?
Oh, he definitely encourages it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like I don't think he wants to like just hand it to me, because
Well,
what's the fun in that,
I'm not even thinking like giving you stuff, but I'm just talking like giving you like info or tips
Oh yeah,
or
yeah. He's giving me info. Like sometimes it's like, hey, what is hospital number 74 or something like that
yeah,
because it's like not on Discogs or whatever.
yeah.
And I think actually that hospital 74 I think is it's one of the shirts because a couple of
Okay.
the early shirts actually have catalog numbers.
Uh-huh.
So that's like that's part of having it all. You have to have if it has a catalog number, it's fair game.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Like there's one, I think it's Hospital 299 is a it's like basically a deconstructed magazine, like a glamour magazine that I think Nico Vassarelli, I think it's his, and it's like 500 pages of like basically if you got like an old Sears catalog or something like that, and but took the spine off and they're just separate pages. It's like, it's got a catalog number. I have it, but it's like that. I've never seen it for sale.
Yeah.
I got it on like eBay, I think, but I've never seen anyone else have it. And I think there's a lot. It's probably the like fashion world has it.
Right.
Even, it's because it's not noise at all.
Right.
Or maybe it is.
Yeah.
But I have like my collection's it's really in shambles. It's not organized at all. Like what you see behind me is kind of nicely placed on a shelf, but it's not completely organized.
Yeah.
Like those are all the hospital the little Disney box looking things. That's all of them. I think I'm the only one that has all of them.
Yeah.
Because there's like 2 of them that are limited to 10.
Yeah.
And that's because they stopped making those cases.
Yeah.
They just disappeared. But I'm really into hunting for a lot of the 90s stuff now.
Yeah.
Stuff that directly and indirectly influenced me that I'm kind of, trying to, it's like a history lesson.
Right.
And hunting for it is fun, but absolutely unbelievably devastating.
I bet. You got a decent job, right?
What's that? I got a decent job.
I think that's a key. I mean, I
that
think
helps. Yeah, some of this stuff, I mean, I've definitely paid way too much for certain things. But you know what? I'll never get mad at a price of something because it's either, you see a price of it and it's like, how bad do I need it?
Yeah.
Either you get it or you don't. If you don't pay it, you can't be mad at the price because whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
It is what it is. If you're not willing to pay that price, then you just don't want it.
Yeah.
There is a limit. There's plenty of things that I've like missed because it's like, oh, it was $300 or something. It's just like, I can maybe hold out, and you hold out and you get it for $150 or something.
Yeah.
I'm talking in like high hundreds even now, like it's nothing. But like some of this stuff it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like when you find it, sometimes you just have to jump on it.
Yeah.
And then you hear like some people who are just like, oh yeah, I just was talking to this guy and I got all this for like $5, and you're just like, I'm gonna cry. Like what you just told me is the most devastating news. I wish you didn't tell me.
So where do you find most of your deep finds? Is it Discogs or do you have dealers?
I found stuff on Discogs, as everyone has. But I've just I've talked to just random people. Sometimes friends might have something that isn't like publicly aware of that they have it or anything. Like they don't have it in like a Discogs collection.
Yeah.
But like it's like I know they have that. I'm just gonna ask them like, hey, would you sell that or whatever?
Yeah.
The way I got all my Deadline stuff, I just got in touch with this Texan guy, and he happened to have really insane shit. Wow. That's like like there's no way any more of these even exist, probably.
Wow.
Just with the way that Richard, because I have better access to talk to Richard now because he lives here.
Yeah.
And stuff that he doesn't have.
Right.
He almost never had it.
Right.
He might have a master, maybe, but doesn't have a finished product of certain things, and it's the thing. There's some labels. Deadline in particular, that no matter what, it just keeps going. There's different versions.
Yeah.
Grey Wolves are another one. No one on Earth will ever have every Grey Wolves thing. because because as far as I'm concerned, like with the 80s and like Grey Wolves, bootlegs count towards the collection. Okay. Maybe they don't, it's like, oh, it's not an official release, but guess what? That was what they did. So the bootleg matters just as much as the one that, David and Trevor did or something like that.
Yeah.
And endless. Just when you think I got 9 versions of this. Guess what? There's a 10th version that this guy has, and he's never given it up. And Deadline is endless. And it's a lot of it's in shambles, like category, cat number wise and stuff. The 90s stuff is hard to find because a lot of it probably just got thrown out eventually. On top of it being small editions anyway, they're just gone. And you got to think like AMP, like Pain Jerk's label.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really like huge. Now he's absolutely legendary and one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
But I would be hard pressed to think that 50 copies of like a lot of those AMPs even exist. Sure. Maybe some of them, but I doubt it.
Right.
So that stuff's, very hard to find. Everyone knows that Gildan's hard to find because a lot of them are just private tapes.
Yeah.
Maybe he made 10 tops and gave them at a show.
Right.
Because that's a lot of the other things. It's like they would make tapes and it is a release. And they just gave it to a show, but the show was, in Houston, Texas, and it's not like they were on tour.
Right.
So you had to be at a random show in Houston to have that tape. And so either some of them are just gone, or some of those guys were like friends with him, so they're never going to give up the tape. And why would they? They were friends with him. It's like a piece of him that they can still have. It's personal.
Right. What are some of your prized possessions?
The special packaged ones for sure. Not necessarily. I mean, the Pain Jerk stuff is really good. The Gildan stuff I have is good. The Deadline stuff. For the inevitable like top releases, of all time that you're gonna ask me, at this point, I was gonna spin it around for you on the best packaged releases of all time.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll just.
No, that's good. I mean, I was gonna ask you some variation on all time.
All right, good. I kind of had a feling because everyone knows the question's coming now, so it's like I actually had time to think, and it's like that defeats it. But what am I gonna? You have to.
2023, I'm gonna start switching it up on people. They're not gonna know it. I'm gonna switch up the format. So I'm gonna ask you that in a second.
Okay.
But one question that I have is, I've heard you say, you collect all these originals, and I've read somewhere maybe that you aren't personally into reissues. Why is that?
I think it goes back to the package and whether or not it's just a J card. Like that was the intent. That was the original intent of it. And I'm not like against reissues. I think they should happen. There's definitely things that should be reissued because they're incredible. And Miko does a really great job in Industrial Recollections and stuff like that. Even Richard reissuing his own old stuff. The old Deadline, I'm telling you, like if people only have heard and I'm not gonna knock Richard on that, like with the Harsh Noise Wall stuff, where I think it's an acquired taste, and so like a lot of that ran into like what Richard does now. Mm-hmm. But it is like then the stuff he was one of the best ever to Absolutely. Do it. That stuff is so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But no one's ever heard it because it doesn't exist. But now he's reissuing it and stuff like that, and that's great. He should, because people should hear some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there just really is stuff that should be reissued, but I don't know. I hold a reissue can be a placeholder. We'll put it that way. For me, like, let's say I really want to hear something, and I don't want to download it, legally download it or something like that. And I also want to support a label or something for whatever. Hey, they reissued it. I'll get it. I'll listen. I'll enjoy it. But I will always search for the original. I also kind of believe that people shouldn't be reissuing things that they don't personally have the original. I think you should have the original, because otherwise, how did you hear it? Did you download it and you're like, oh, this is cool. I just want to put it out. Like, did you really experience it? Not really. You just downloaded it.
Yeah.
So that's important. Like, I had asked Mark Solotroff if I could, if and when I get all the cassette series, the A5s, I think there's 19 of them, can we just do a box set reissue, CD, just do each 19 CD reissue, have a booklet, like a perfect bound booklet with all the art and stuff like that. It will never happen though, because of the condom. So, and you can't just leave out condom. So it'll never happen, which is fine. But some of them on their own have gotten reissued and stuff like that, and they should. And then there's a couple that are eluding me, and will probably. It's so hard to find some of those. And another thing, limited to 50. They're all 50. And they're all good. Every single one that I own is incredible.
Yeah.
But let's just say, Condom. Mike was saying, oh yeah, you can reissue it, and I got permission to reissue everything from everyone, but I did not have them all personally. I would not put it out. I would wait years until it's like, okay, I got my final piece ready to go. We can finally reissue it now.
Yeah.
Mark reissuing it on the other, whatever, he could, but once again, it won't because of the condom tape.
I respect that though. That I feel that too. I feel that too. I feel like I've been also approached by some. I'm not a big collector of like the old stuff. I would love to be, but I just am not.
It's not. Yeah, sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, I love it though. But I've gotten like approached by certain people or like kind of like either artists or like other labels. They're like, hey, let's reissue this, and I always kind of feel like. I'm sure it's killer, and I think someone should reissue, but I don't have. It's like I don't have it. Like I never had it.
Right.
And like if you're gonna send it to me now, I can listen to it, be stoked on it, but it sort of feels not right.
It's when a label's reissuing something, I think it should be somewhat personal to them.
Yeah.
I guess like it should be meaningful. If you're willing to reissue something, you have to ask yourself why. Why am I reissuing this? Because I love it, or because I know I can make money from it, or something. Right. What are your intentions?
Right.
Yeah. It's just have it. Reissuing is fine. I'm not against reissues. I not misquoted, but I think that's I think people think that I hate them. Don't ever reissue it. No, absolutely reissue things.
Yeah.
But do it right,
And it doesn't fill the hole in your soul.
It'll never, a reissue will never fill a hole in my heart. Maybe it will in other people's though, because they want it for a different reason.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Cool.
But always a void for me.
Okay, so tell me your top 5 packaging of all time.
Might give you a little more than 5, but
okay. And don't just tell show me. Don't just tell me.
Yeah,
show
yeah.
me.
I'm gonna try one that I thought of that I don't know where the hell it is. This is a classic. Gross. Passion on the Rubbers. Masana. Amazing. Absolutely genius.
Oh yeah.
This is genius. This is Pain Jerks, Great Invisible Crashing on Bentley welcomes careful drivers.
And that's a saw. I mean, you got to be little. You
It's
got
a
to
miniature hacksaw.
miniature hacksaw. Yeah.
This one is kind of a strange one. It's Scott Generex E equals HV, and it's, I'll undo it so people can see it. It's like from 1990. It's a piece of like cinder block.
Wow.
And then it's got like a metal plate, and maybe we can get it on camera. There's like no, you can't see it. It's like mathematical etchings and stuff on it. And I think he did it as a like thesis or something like that in like school. And there's apparently like 500 copies, which might be true, but that's kind of outrageous.
Wow.
Got this one. This is MSBR's Fracture of Silence. In like a big. When I first saw this, like I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like in a rock.
Yeah.
Because it looks like a rock.
Yeah.
And but it's like a piece of like spray painted foam.
Yeah.
And it's just so dumb. But this is amazing. And it's good. So everything that the reason why they're like in the tops is for both this sounds amazing and it's like everything going for it is perfect. I don't know if I can reach it. It's on a shelf and there's like stuff, but the 4 shrines on Gross.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Beautiful. It just the symmetry.
Yeah.
And it's he had something that none of us have, and it's just it's unbelievable. It is arguably the best label. Arguably.
Definitely, that can be said with pretty good confidence.
This is a good one, and the funny thing is it's not on Soundprobe, but it is, Soundprobe related, and it's on Uncut, and it's a Proof of the Shooting Diagram A double, and it's got these little handcuffs that come with it. And
Uncut meaning Mote.
Mote's label, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's just it's simple, but it's perfect. Like this is everything about like 1990s noise. Like this is what it is. It's kind of it's dirty. There's like weird fuzz on it.
Yeah.
It's taped taped on like labels and stuff like that. They're kind of coming off because it's glue that's 25 years old.
Yeah.
The one that I can't find is Cosmic Bondage from Smell and Quim with the doll.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, come on. Like,
yeah.
what an outrageous... Them, you can say everything from them is pretty much essential. They're on a whole other world.
Yeah.
And then a newer one that is... It's creeping its way up to like the best packages maybe ever. It's in the other room. I'll get it.
Yeah, bring it.
This is a it's a new hospital one.
Oh yeah.
And it's the Oswald Resurrection, the United States of Autopsy.
Yeah.
And he got these are the old he got them fabricated. It's a Dallas police badge and stuff like that. So like just going to those lengths to fabricate because he couldn't just buy those. I think he had to have them made.
Crazy.
I don't know. And that's like noise. That's noise to me.
That's what it's all about.
That is what it is all about. And so that's why it's if it's your best of all time, sound is important, but so is how it's presented.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
Definitely. That's I'd love to see more sometime. I'd love to just be able to, because I mean, being able to touch it is like such a big thing too.
Right. And well, and the thing is there is so you I can have really good things, and then you see something someone has, and you're just like, oh, like, oh my complexion, my whole collection is garbage because I don't have that one thing now.
Yeah. Do you feel that? Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you'll ever be satisfied?
No, never.
Is that a good feeling or a bad feeling?
It is both good and bad. It's horrific, and it pains me on a daily basis. But then I like hunting things down. That's the fun thing about it. Like, new stuff is great. I'm glad new stuff is coming out constantly. Whether insane packages and stuff, but it's like you can get it and it's pretty accessible, as it should be. But then to hunt for that old stuff, because it's just gone. It's so, even when you're hunting for like, oh, I want an old Led Zeppelin record, it's like you can probably find it,
Right.
But no, 50 copies less, 10 copies.
Yeah.
10 copies means it doesn't exist. As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Cool. Do you have 5 new things that you are really excited about, including, include packaging in that, maybe like 5 new releases that you are like?
You know what? Of the new stuff, I haven't really like seen. There's a couple and I'm gonna just sound like a big hospital fanboy, but he's really doing like insane stuff lately with packaging. So as far as packaging goes, this one's last year's. It's called Van Gogh Torments.
Yep.
And it's in like a little easel and stuff like that. And if it was nothing but the tapes, it would have still been the best album of 2021. I think it came out a year ago, like at this time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely just very, very, very good.
Yeah.
As far as like packaging stuff, this is the Mangled Clit special edition.
Whoa.
And that a reissue.
Yeah.
That is a reissue that absolutely everyone needs to get. It is toppest tier power electronics.
Yeah.
It's exactly what power electronics should be, where it's like it's not necessarily like pleasing or like, it's just dirty, filthy. You can actually kind of hear what he's saying too, and you listen and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like this is really extreme shit that you're saying. Incredible.
Yeah.
But just as far as like good stuff coming out, I think that field work is very underrated, and people should listen to Paul's stuff more. Golden Purifier, and then I think it's him, but I'm not sure. It's a Russian title. It's in Cyrillic, so I can't read it. But those are really good. Slacking, he did pretty much everything he did, but there's a tape or a CDR on Will's label, Prosnog.
Yeah.
That's really good. And he's going to be, I think people are going to hear about him more.
For sure.
He's good. Very good. Very good live, too, which always helps. There's a new product, or a new hospital kind of mainstay called Acoustic Shadows. And it's all based on like Civil War kind of stuff. Civil War, like ghostly. Kind of hard to find because I don't think he put that on Band. He puts a lot of the stuff on Bandcamp, but I think this is like limited to 25 and 50 and but if he ends up doing more of that, People should pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good stuff. Very different. Very, very noise. It
Mm-hmm.
actually is noise, where it has that unlistenable quality to it. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
not hi-fi. Like, ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
this is it's death.
Yeah.
It's the sound of just death. Rogue State University is probably one of the best things going right now, and that is it's way goes way beyond sound and tapes. It's a whole it's a thing.
Yeah.
Uh, trying to think of like anything in the past that is like similar to that, where it's not a collective or anything like that, but it's a whole. It's a theory in and of itself. It's a university. You know, uh, he started something that's just it's outrageous, and it keeps going. It's endless. It's intelligence. It's lack of intelligence. It's science. It's agriculture. Re- it's it's so it's so beyond like what anyone would think to do. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
But then again, why has no one else done this at
Yeah.
all? It's incredible. I love it. I can't. I'm glad that I'm enrolled in Rogue State University, and everyone should be. If you get an application in the mail, like someone
Apply.
by either someone sending it to you or some, send it back. Trust me, it's worth it. It's one of those things. It's culture. This is noise as a culture, and that this is why noise exists. It's things like Rogue State University. Yeah, the last thing, and it's hard to pick just one thing, but I think this is going back to like my noisecore roots. Reanimated Miscarriage is by and large the best noisecore label I have ever seen.
Hmm.
And the stuff he's putting out, whether it be a C2 or a C30, 60, whatever, it's of the highest quality, without losing its like noisecore like flavor and edge
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's so good. The art is good. Everything about it is good. It's like it's a big fuck you to like everything and how everyone thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Like noisecore is. It's wonderful.
Cool. I'm not aware of that.
Yeah,
It's a good name though.
it's a perfect name.
Well, Jim, I would say you've given me a lot here and given us all a lot. I appreciate everything you've put forth here. What do you got coming up next for you personally or with Fusty?
Personally, I eventually do have that laureate. I'm working. I've been working on a double LP for. I don't want to say that I've been working on it for like 5 years, but it's been ongoing. Whether or not I've been like I just didn't work on it for 2 years, whatever. I should probably just finish it, but that's going to be a DETERGE, and I think it's very good, and it's going to be along the lines of the like the laureate, and kind of like, what am I listening to?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important. Everyone should try to go your own way. As far as Fusty, I'll be having my random tape drops. I like to let those be what they are. Like when you see it, it's just like, okay, this is something new, something different.
Yeah.
You know, no promotion for it. It's just like, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's some new stuff.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is it is actually happening. Finally, the David Gilden box set. I wanted it to be out before the end of the year, but that's not going to happen. So it will be done in the first quarter.
Cool.
The tape portion will. So what it's going to be, I think it's going to be 16 or 17 tapes, mostly C90s, and you know what? Actually, this is going to be a good promotion to do it this way. It's going to be 50 copies of the tapes, and it's not going to be cheap. But it will be cheaper and a lot better if you send me a money order or cash. Because I don't really want to put it on Big Cartel. I just don't want to. I want to see, in keeping with the spirit of, you know, that night, it's like, I want it to be, send me an email, you know. It will be announced probably like on Instagram or something like that, just because otherwise people might not know it exists. But now you know, and yes, doing a reissue in 50 copies is like the stupidest thing on earth. But don't worry, it will get a slightly abridged CD box that you know, there's going to be 300 copies probably, and it'll be anyone who wants to hear it will get to hear it, as they should.
Yeah.
He was one of the greats and gone before anyone knew how good he was.
Yeah, definitely. That's yeah. It's I mean it's amazing that there's so much other material out there. I mean, there's Texas Chainsaw Dope Fiend, which is like the.
That's not even the best one.
Yeah. I mean, that's some.
It is the best one, but it's kind of not the best one.
Right.
Like Sawgasm's probably the best.
Right. But I mean, there's those two, or there's a couple others, I guess. But I mean, that seems like there's also so much other material that just wasn't even heard or appreciated. I mean, it seems like at the time he was really unappreciated.
Yeah. So this box set, it is going to be like it's a reissue, because it's definitely reissuing stuff that existed, but it's going to have like alternate stuff on there too that I had gotten a hold of. There's an alternate take of the A side of the Mika Droid, which is the collab he did with Third Organ, on Slaughter. And so it's, you know, it's a little bit different. And so I'm not going to reissue that tape, but it's a alternate mix of, you know, what was once, what became of the tape. And I think that's a little bit something different, because I think there is something to still track it down. Track down the tapes if you can. And that, you know, that's going to be hard to track down, but track it down.
Yeah.
You know, treat yourself. If you find it, treat yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth it. But you get a taste. You get a taste of, because this isn't a discography, because that's impossible.
Yeah.
But it's a very good collection of what he did. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first. Order directly from Jim. Send him an email about it. That's the way to go.
Shoot me an email. If I get like 50 emails for this, that's fine. I will answer your email, and you will probably be put in a K, because I probably won't get 50. I'll probably get 25, and if I get 25 emails, you can pretty much consider yourself getting one. So, you know, if I get 100 emails, well, that's you
might get 100 emails. You might get 100 emails or more.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. No matter what, you can probably get a CD version. No matter what. That will be readily available. So prepare, and that'll come a little bit later, because that's the money from the tapes is gonna have to pay for that, because it's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, so. For sure. That's a big project either way. Cool, Jim. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise.
And we'll stay in touch and talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in to White Centipede Noise Podcast, and a big thank you to all Patreon supporters that make this show possible. If you're a fan of the podcast but not currently supporting, head over to patreon.com/White Centipede Noise now to check out the many benefits of doing so and find a level that fits you.